If you look at Google Sky and look down on Antarctica, you'll find bases from every major country in the world there. And you'll also find the Rockefeller Foundation base as well. There's an opening next to these research facilities. And this is why I believe they made this treaty, this sharing of information treaty or whatever. You can see it on the Google Sky thing. And when you look at it, like, what's in there? Now, why are they over here? And why are they so close to this gigantic opening? What's in there? I think the answer is whatever Admiral Byrd came across or whatever they're coming across, I think it's linked. I think there's a remnant of an ancient civilization in there that possibly is still there, and they're in communication with them. We know that Antarctica was not a frozen tundra. That landmass was on a plate that slipped and there was something called a pole shift of the crust of the Earth, which shifted it from a more habitable climate into the position it is now. They're finding remnants of an ancient civilization. You can actually go down there.
People don't believe me when I say I come from a colony in Antarctica. They be like, but it's not ice around you. Bro, it is 2024. And if you seriously believe that Antarctica is just full of ice, I don't know what to tell you, because you need to do your research.
Have you ever wondered if there is a place on our Earth that remains truly wild? A continent so remote, so hostile, and so breathtakingly beautiful that it has resisted human settlement for all of history? Well, this place exists. It is a land of superlatives, the coldest, the driest, the highest continent on our planet. It is Antarctica, the great white wilderness at the bottom of the world. Its name whispers of adventure, of unimaginable cold, and of a silence so profound it seems to hold the secrets of time itself. For centuries it was just a rumor, but today we know it is very real. Antarctica is isolation made manifest. It is a continent set adrift at the bottom of the globe, separated from its nearest neighbors by thousands of kilometers of the stormiest oceans on Earth. This profound separation is the first and most fundamental reason for its pristine state. There are no indigenous peoples here, but of ice-wind geology evolution playing out on a time scale that just dwarfs human existence. This is a place where humanity has never truly put down roots, a testament to the sheer power of nature to keep us at bay. To reach the frozen continent, one must first conquer its formidable guardian, the Southern Ocean. This is not an ocean in the conventional sense. It is a continuous ring of water that encircles Antarctica, unimpeded by any major landmass. Here the winds can race around the globe, gathering immense power and creating the most ferocious seas on the planet. For centuries, it was an impassable frontier, wrecking ships and turning back even the most determined explorers. The stretch of water between South America and the Antarctic Peninsula, known as the Drake Passage, is particularly notorious. Oceans converge, creating a chaotic and violent seascape. This ocean is not just a barrier, it is the very lifeblood of the continent it protects. Once past the fury of the Southern Ocean, one arrives at a continent defined by a single dominant element: ice. An immense ice sheet covers more than 98% of the continent, kilometers thick in places. This colossal mass of frozen water is so heavy it has depressed the underlying bedrock. Only the highest peaks, nunataks, pierce the ice. This is not a landscape built on a human scale. It is a geological masterpiece, sculpted over millions of years by the raw power of nature. Gravity pulls ice from the high interior toward the coasts. When they reach the sea, they form immense floating ice shelves. From these platforms, colossal icebergs calve into the ocean. The surface can hide deep, concealed crevasses, often covered only by a fragile bridge of snow. Beyond the coast, the ice sheet creates the polar plateau, a vast, high-altitude desert of ice. Section 5. Life on the edge. Survival in a realm of extremes. To exist in Antarctica is, honestly, to endure a constant battle against the elements. The weather here is, without a doubt, the most extreme on Earth. Temperatures on the high interior plateau can plummet below -80 degrees Celsius, a cold so intense that it can freeze human flesh in just seconds. Even in the relatively milder coastal regions, winter temperatures regularly drop to -30 degrees, -40 degrees. This is a cold that transforms materials. Fuels turn to jelly. Survival isn't about comfort here, it's a technical challenge, demanding specialized clothing-heated habitats. The wind is perhaps an even greater enemy than the cold. These are the katabatic winds. They can accelerate to hurricane force, over 300 kilometers per hour. Despite these hostile conditions, life has found a way to thrive in the seas and along the coastal fringes. The story of Antarctica is inextricably linked with the tales of the courageous and often tragic figures of the heroic age of exploration. Robert Falcon Scott, Ernest Shackleton, Roald Amundsen, they sailed wooden ships into seas of crushing ice and marched across frozen landscapes with, pretty rudimentary equipment pushing the limits of human endurance. Every step was a battle against frostbite, exhaustion, and hidden crevasses. Scott's party arrived later and perished on the ice just a few kilometers from a supply depot. Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, was trapped and crushed, leaving them stranded on the frozen Weddell Sea. He sailed a small lifeboat across 1,300 kilometers to South Georgia and organized a rescue, saving all his men. These stories of triumph and tragedy echo across the ice today. Today, Antarctica is not a continent of conquest, but one of science. Small, highly specialized research stations operated by dozens of countries represent our only permanent foothold on the ice. From McMurdo to the futuristic Halley's Sixth, each base is a tiny bubble of warmth and technology. Life blends cutting-edge research with profound isolation. During the busy summer months, there is a constant flow of people and supplies as teams fly in to conduct fieldwork. But when winter arrives, the stations become utterly cut off from the world. Coping requires immense mental fortitude, a strong sense of community, and routines to maintain well-being. These outposts are the closest analog on Earth to long-duration spaceflight. Everything needed for survival and research must be transported across thousands of kilometers of treacherous ocean and ice, a logistical puzzle at the mercy of the weather. For all its apparent strength and power, the Antarctic wilderness is, in reality, incredibly fragile. Its ecosystems have evolved over millennia in extreme isolation, making them uniquely vulnerable to outside disturbances. At its base are the phytoplankton, microscopic plants that bloom in the nutrient-rich waters. These are eaten by krill, tiny crustaceans that exist in astonishing numbers. Nearly every other animal, from penguins to the great whales, depends on krill. The greatest threat to this fragile Eden is a warming world. The Antarctic Peninsula is one of the fastest warming regions on the planet. Glaciers retreat, ice shelves collapse, and sea ice diminishes, eroding the foundation of the food web. Human activity must be strictly controlled. Biosecurity and careful protocols are essential to prevent invasive species and contamination. Pollution and an oil spill here would be catastrophic. Waste and footprints can linger for decades. Protecting this wilderness is a global responsibility. Science must be carried out with utmost care and tourism managed sustainably. From the smallest microbe to the largest whale, the future depends on our ability to tread lightly. In a world often divided by political conflict, Antarctica stands as a remarkable symbol: peace and international cooperation. Signed in 1959 at the height of the Cold War, the original treaty was a landmark achievement in diplomacy. The treaty set aside territorial claims and dedicated the continent to peaceful purposes. It guarantees freedom of scientific investigation, promotes cooperation, and requires open sharing of data. The Protocol on Environmental Protection, 1991, designates Antarctica as a natural reserve and prohibits mining. It establishes rigorous protections and frameworks for assessing and minimizing environmental impact. Over decades, the treaty system has expanded, a model for planetary stewardship. Appreciating this remarkable wilderness means not only admiring its icy beauty, but also upholding the promise we made to protect it. It is our collective responsibility to ensure Antarctica remains, for peace, for science, a beacon of hope for our world.